Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Gave Hinata Another Shot, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto woke early the week after Kushina Uzumaki's funeral. It had been a quiet ceremony, as Tsunade wanted to keep quiet that she had children in the village. But everyone had now noticed a new blonde that was the perfect female version of Naruto. Lee had even taken a liking to her. Naruto was still creeped out by the whole conversation Lee had with his twin. Flashback. Naruto and his family were walking down the main street getting many curious looks from the villagers. Tokiko, who had never grown up experiencing this kind of attention, was nervous. But Naruto was used to it by now. Why are they staring? She asked. Naruto smiled as he looked at his little sister and little Kyujin. They had been on their way to the academy. Because you're my twin. To them, one of us is bad enough, he said, grinning slyly. What did you do, Naruto? His sister asked, concerned, yet amused. He really did remind her of Kushina. I played a few pranks. Painted the Hokage heads. Stuff like that, he said proudly. It's a wonder they don't hate you, she whispered. Oh, they did for a while. And not for the stuff I did. It was because of what's in me, he said, smiling as Lee approached. What do you mean? She asked, eyeing him suspiciously. Later, he whispered before turning to the man in front of him. Lee, what's going on? Not much, Naruto. I am still trying to see where I went wrong with Sakura. Lee pouted. Naruto shook his head, face serious. Tokiko and Kira watched as he talked to his friend. Lee, you didn't do anything. Sakura always had her heart set on Sasuke. She only saw you as a friend, he said, trying to counsel his friend. Lee felt a little better knowing that the effort hadn't been in vain. I suppose you're correct. And I must say, Naruto, your transformations are getting much better. Your clone is gorgeous, Lee said, eyeing his sister. Naruto suddenly felt protective as the two girls giggled. Actually, Lee, this is my twin sister, Tokiko Uzumaki. He was beginning to feel uncomfortable. What? The guy in green spandex said, completely surprised. I never knew you had a sister. Neither did I, until a week ago, he said, still not liking the look in his eyes. Lee pushed past Naruto and bowed in front of Tokiko, causing her to giggle as Kira watched amused. I apologize, Ms. Uzumaki. I did not know that a relative of Naruto's could be so beautiful. My name is Rock Lee. I am the Leaf's handsome blue beast. His eyes were locked onto hers. She blushed and looked away. It is nice to meet you, Lee, she said, shaking his hand, still blushing. Hey, boss, who's the hot blonde you got with you? Naruto groaned as Konohamaru came around the corner, minus his friends. Hey Konohamaru, where's Udon and Mogi? On a date. I hate being single, he said, until he caught sight of Kira, who was staring at him. When he noticed, she turned away blushing. He grinned at her. Oh, she's cute, boss, he said, pointing at Kira. What's her name? Her name is Kira Uzumaki, he said flatly. He didn't like the idea of either of these two dating his family. Uzumaki. She's related to you. Yes, she's my Kyujin as a matter of fact. And she's my twin sister, Tokiko Uzumaki. Konohamaru's eyes lit up as he turned to a rather shy Kira. After all, they were the same age. Hey, Kira, wanna hang out? I can give you a tour. The young girl nodded at him. Naruto didn't want to think about what his tour would include, but decided to stop it now before it started. Actually, I'm giving him a tour. You can tag along if you want. He regretted it immediately. Both of them agreed and began walking with them. He knew it would be a long day. Naruto was walking home with his family, finally shaking Lee and Konohamaru, who had asked his sister and Kyujin to join him the next day. Before he could stop it, both of them agreed. He had to remember to set them straight. Tomaro. Well, that was fun, Naruto. I like meeting your friends. Except that Sasuke guy. He was kinda a. Tokiko said as they entered the front room. Hinata was still out baby shopping with the girls. Naruto chuckled as heard her comment about Sasuke. Well, he can be a jerk, but he grows on you. Anyway, I guess we should wait for Hinata before we head out to eat. He turned to his sister, Tokiko. Lee may seem nice, but if at any time Tomaro that he tries to get fresh with you, she see him off with her hand and a smile. Naruto, don't worry. Lee seems trustworthy. And stop being so protective of me. It's sweet, but unnecessary. She told a disgruntled Naruto. Yeah, and Konohamaru is really sweet and nice. He's cute too. Kira blushed. Naruto, realizing defeat, grumbled his acceptance. He knew that the two in question were trustworthy, but he still didn't like it. Alright, but as the oldest, and seeing as I'm in charge, I expect you both home before 11:30 tomorrow night. He said sternly. Both girls grinned at him. Yes, Auto-san, they both said. Where'd that come from? He asked, bewildered. You're acting like a father and a clan head. Come to think of it, now that mom is gone, you're the head of the Uzumaki clan now. What? Isn't there someone else? He asked. No, mother, Kira, and myself were the last Uzumakis in Whirlpool. Can't you do it? No, you're the oldest and the strongest. It's your duty to the clan to lead it. Besides, you'll be able to spend a lot more time with Hinata and your child. Clan heads don't get missions assigned, even if they're active duty. I guess you're right. Alright, I'll speak to the Hokage Tomaro. End FLASBACK. Hokage Tower. Are you sure about this? Being the head of a clan is hard work. Tsunade was watching the three Uzumakis with curiosity. Yes, it is my duty to my clan. To my mother's clan, Naruto said. Tsunade smiled as she pulled out the clan lists and grabbed a pen. Very well. As of today, the Uzumaki clan is established in Konoha and headed by the Junin, Naruto Uzumaki. I will bring you forward so you can accept your seat on the council. Dismissed. I'm only a Chunin. Naruto reminded her, thinking she had gone senile. Oh, so you don't want the position? She asked, smiling after she wrote down all the needed information. No, I do. I was just surprised is all. Thank you, Lady Tsunade. He bowed and the three left for home. She smiled as she watched them leave. Naruto, you'll make a fine Hokage someday. And you'll make an excellent clan head. Uzumaki home. Naruto, that's great. She hugged him as he smiled. After Hinata had come home from her checkup, a smiling Naruto had told her. Yeah, we just need to make sure the clan stays happy and whole. We need rules, Tokiko commented. Naruto smiled. Only 3, actually. They're easy to remember. 1. We will always defend our village to our last breath with honor and integrity. He paused as the 3 girls smiled at him. 2. Anyone marrying into the clan does not have to take the Uzumaki name and neither do their children. And 3. We will use our strength to protect those that are weaker. We will never take back our word or break a promise. No one disagreed with him. Hinata woke up the next day and looked at her sleeping husband, smiling. They had stayed up late, celebrating the founding of their clan. Most of their friends and some of Hinata's family had attended the party. Even Jiraiya and Tsunade had came. Only those like Kakashi, who were on missions, couldn't attend. She carefully got out of bed and put on her white silk house robe on over her lavender sleeping gown. She smiled as she loosely tied the robe around her bulging stomach. She was 2 months pregnant and it had started to show. She made her way down the stairs to the kitchen when she noticed a small figure looking into the room. She came up beside Kira as the young girl looked at her smiling. Naruto's trying to make breakfast but keeps burning everything. She smiled as Naruto started fumming. Hinata watched as smoke began to rise from the pan he was using, resisting the urge to laugh. He'd never cooked anything other than instant ramen. Hinata smiled as she quietly snuck up behind him and wrapped her arms around her husband's sea, wondering how he was here and still in bed. Cage Bushin, she thought. She smiled even bigger. He hadn't wanted her to wake up alone, so he left a clone to keep her company. Naruto, who hadn't been aware that she had come up behind him, jumped so hard that the pan flew out of his hands and through the kitchen window when she had grabbed him. The contents smoking slightly as they sailed outside. Holy hell, he shouted. Kira and Hinata started laughing, causing a confused-looking Tokiko to come running, asking, what happened? Nothing, he said quickly, not wanting his sister to know he had been caught off guard by his wife. Just trying to make breakfast. Burned my finger. Sorry. Breakfast, she said, sniffing the air. Smells like you were burning old shoes. She laughed as Hinata and Kira joined in. Naruto muttered about, not fair, they outnumber me, as he reached for another pan. Hinata stopped him. No, I am your wife, let me, she said, pushing him, protesting, away from the stove. No, you don't have to. Not in your condition, he said. Hinata sighed as her husband began to get carried away. Rounding on him, she pulled him into a deep K that caused him to completely calm down. After they broke apart, he smiled as he moved away, sitting at the table, grinning like a fool. Kira laughed as she looked at her blissful cousin. How a powerful ninja could be defeated by his wife. The idea was entertaining to say the least. I win, Hinata said, brightly, starting breakfast. After 15 minutes, Hinata had finished cooking and everyone sat down and began to enjoy the meal that to her mere minutes, while Naruto had been trying for an hour and a half. Naruto sat and listened as Kira recounted her date with Konohamaru. And we sat in the park and watched the stars, she said dreamily. Hinata smiled at her. That was the first thing Naruto-kun and I did when we started dating, she said, smiling at him. Figures. He chuckled, the kid's trying to use my style to woo my cousin. He shook his head. I got to have a talk with him, he said darkly, causing the girls to laugh as they tried to eat. Naruto had stepped up to his role as the clan leader and was handling it rather well. After the laughter down, Hinata turned to Tokiko. How was your date with Lee? It was nice. Lee is really a nice person. But he gets creepy when his sensei comes around. All they did was spout on about youthfulness. Oh, that reminds me. Naruto, would it be possible for Kira to attend the academy? Tokiko asked. Naruto looked at his little cousin thoughtfully. I think it can be arranged. I can talk with the Hokage tonight after the clan meeting if Kira wants to become a shinobi. Kira jumped up and ran over to Naruto, hugging him. Thank you, Naruto. I will make you proud. Naruto smiled as they broke apart. He knew that she viewed him as a father. Hey, don't do this for me. Do it for yourself. Never do anything to only please the clan. Always follow your heart, no matter what, he said, smiling as he ruffled her hair. She had become something of a daughter to him. Kira only smiled as she gave Naruto another hug before returning to her seat. Yo! All four heads turned to see Kakashi-sensei sitting in the kitchen window, reading his rather naughty orange book. You know, Kakashi-sensei. Every time I see you reading that book, I'm going to call you Pervy-sensei. Naruto smiled as the other Junin returned it, even though his mouth was covered. Well, now I happen to love reading the Ika Ika Series. Would you like me to insult you for loving ramen? Kakashi asked politely, gaining laughs form around the table. Could care less about ramen. I have one love in my life, he said as he pulled Hinata over to him as she walked over to the sink, wanting to do the dishes. She smiled at him as Naruto continued, and that is my beautiful, sweet, caring wife, Hinata, he said, earning himself a K on the cheek. Kakashi grinned at him. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to find something else to tease you about. But that'll have to wait. The Hokage wishes to call an emergency hearing of all the clans. Seeing as you're the Uzumaki head, you have to report also. Naruto nodded, and decided it was time to wear it. After he had found out about his father, Jiraiya had given him his father's possessions. He went into his bedroom and opened his closet. He reached inside and removed a black shirt, black pants, black shoes, and a white cloak with flames etched along the hem. He dressed quickly and looked at himself in the mirror. He was the spitting image of Minato. He was proud to wear this. Today, he would inform the other clans of his true heritage. They had all decided on that. So, he grabbed his sword. He was a 3rd level master, having trained in sword combat on his trip with Jiraiya, and secured it to his waist. He walked into the front room and Kakashi let out a yell of shock as the girls rounded on him, eyes wide in shock. He grinned. Ready to go, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto, you look just like your father, Kakashi said, whipping a tear away. Yeah, I know. We going or not? Kakashi nodded and the two left after a few goodbyes and AK from Hinata. Tsunade sat in the council chamber, dealing with the G&M from the other heads. They had been told that they had to wait on one more. She looked out the window for a few minutes and was happy to hear the door open. What she saw caused her so much shock that she nearly passed out. She wasn't the only one. Every other clan head turned and was so extremely shocked that all they could do was gawk. Standing in the doorway was the spitting image of Minato. Naruto stepped into the room and bowed his head as a show of respect. Clan Uzumaki reproaching Hokage-sama. I apologize for my delay. Please forgive my tardiness. I will forgive you for now, but try to be punctual to the next meeting. Tsunade said, getting control over her emotions. Naruto smiled and sat in the chair meant for him. Whoa, he's so hot. Turning, she saw Anko almost drooling as she looked at the young Junin. Of course, the clothes he decided to wear were tight on his torso. You could see every muscle on his C. With the cloak and the outfit, Tsunade could understand Anko's reaction. Naruto Uzumaki. I wish to speak with you after this meeting. Naruto bowed his head in acknowledgement. However, Anko couldn't help herself. So, Naruto, have you ever considered dating older women? She asked. Naruto's face changed into a look of horror. Tsunade had to use all her self-control to keep from laughing. Anko, he is a married man with a son on the way. She said, somewhat irritated. Damn, already taken, Anko thought. She laughed anyway. I was kidding. I'll be on my way, Lady Tsunade. With that, Anko left, letting Naruto turn to the Hokage, a smile on his face. A son, huh, yes, I was able to tell at this stage. Even though it is still early in the pregnancy, I was able to tell. Now, as to the topic of today's meeting. I have two important pieces of news, but they have to wait until my informant gets here. Yes, Naruto. Lady Tsunade, I wish to inform the other clans about my heritage. Only the Hyuga knows and so does the Inuzuka. Are you sure it wise? Yes, very well. Naruto stood up and looked at the other clan heads all staring at him. They had thought that he was the fourth when he had arrived. They wondered what he had to say. I know some of you are wondering why I am dressed like this. It is simple. I wish to honor my father. The room was still silent. But it was a silence of shock as they all worked out what he had said. As you all have worked it out, I am the son of Minato Namikaze, better known as the fourth Hokage. I ask that you please do not question me on my mother, as that still has to be a secret. I only tell you this so that relations between our clans will stay strong. Thank you for listening. Tsunade noticed that he wasn't much of a formal talker. So, they sat in silence for a moment when Jiraiya arrived. Sorry I'm late. Minato. Jiraiya saw a grinning blonde sitting by the Hokage. But he knew that it wasn't Minato. It was Naruto. Jiraiya forgot where he was and blurted out, you look so much like your father dressed like that, he would be proud. Jiraiya, I believe you have important information. Oh yes, he said, tearing his eyes away from Naruto. I have gotten both good news and bad news. The good news is that the Akatsuki have been destroyed by the dogs of war. Around the room cheering broke out. Naruto was among them. After a few minutes, the room calmed down as everyone smiled. Jiraiya continued. However, the bad news is that the Dao, as they call themselves, have gathered over 2,000 members. They all have an affinity for Kanis. And they are coming. I don't know when, but they are coming. The room grew silent as the Hokage started to plan out a strategy to defeat this enemy. They stayed like that for over an hour, drawing up battles plans and defense plans. Once they had agreed, they all left, including Naruto, to get their families ready for the upcoming battle. Tsunade turned to Jiraiya. He didn't stay like I asked. You figured he'd listen to his grandmother. She though distraught. I know, but he is our son's son. Would you expect less? Jiraiya said as he put his arm around Tsunade. She shook her head. You're right. I just wished he knew that Minato wasn't only our friend, pupil, and savior, but also our son. I know. After all us with Namikaze are all passionate about those we love. How touching. So you are the demon's biological grandparents. The voice of Kiba Inuzuka sounded through the dark as an explosion sounded from the north gate. Kiba. Tsunade gasped before a blow knocked her and Jiraiya back into a wall. Before them stood a ninja in black body armor next to a grey wolf that bared its teeth at them. Don't call me that. I am no longer that weak man. I am Alpha, leader of the Dogs of War. Naruto continued to stare at where Kiba had been only seconds before, when a voice brought him back to the situation. Naruto-san, are you okay? Looking behind him, he saw a squad of Junin moving to where Jiraiya was. The old man was still. He looked to the one who had talked. A man a few years older than him with short blonde hair and a scar down the left side of his face from temple to chin. He looked concerned. I'm fine. How's Jiraiya and Tsunade? We're fine. A voice whispered out. Naruto spun around to see both Sanin kneeling next to Jiraiya's duplicate. Naruto felt his world vanish as the copy transformed back into Tokiko. Tokiko. Why? Naruto asked as he dropped to her side. She gave him a grin that he recognized. 'Cause I couldn't let Grandma and Grandpa s. And you shouldn't have all the fun. What do you mean? Tokiko coughed up B and smiled, looking at her brother. I'll let them tell you. I'm too sleepy. But, I need to know. Why did the villagers hate you? She asked as Naruto started to tear up. He knew she was S. Because our father sealed the 9 tails in me, I am its jailer. But people could only see me as a monster. I hope I have changed people's minds by now. Naruto-san, you have changed everyone's mind by your actions tonight. Please, allow me to get your sister to the hospital. The young man said. Naruto gave him a small smile. If the Hokage can't do anything, I doubt the hospital can. He said as Tokiko's hand gripped his forearm. There is one more thing. In the Uzumaki house in Whirlpool, there is a hidden library that holds all the secret knowledge of our clan. Including our B contract with the Cubus. It will tell you how to summon them. Also, take care of Kira, for me. Naruto started to cry as he watched her eyes close, her smile still in place. She looked so peaceful, you'd think she was asleep. Naruto whipped the tears from his eyes, and turned to face Jiraiya and Tsunade. Jiraiya's face was contorted in rage and grief as Tsunade sobbed into his shoulder. Jiraiya-sensei. Tsunade-sama. Tell me what she meant. I want to know. He pointed his finger at the Hokage tower, indicating them that was where they would explain. They nodded and all three went to the room. Tsunade and Jiraiya dropped into seats in front of the desk, not really paying attention. Jiraiya was still comforting a distraught Tsunade, watching as Naruto took the only seat left, the Hokage's chair. He sat down and looked at the others, with folded hands. Please, tell me, he said softly. Jiraiya nodded. He was the only one who could tell Naruto. All right, I'll tell you simple. Tsunade and I have been married over 22 years. It was kept secret, because my clan did not approve of the marriage. All Namikas can be a little hot bee. He smiled as he saw the shock on Naruto's face. Well, we had a son the first year of our marriage. We named him Minato. Well, we racied him and the first thing we had him promise when he was old enough, was that he never reveal who his parents were except to the woman he married. We couldn't be with him as much as we wanted, but we had our sensei take care of him when we were away on missions and the like. No one knew he was my son when they assigned him to my team. Still no one found out. Eventually, he grew up, became Hokage and married. And he had 2 children, twins. Naruto Uzumaki and Tokiko Uzumaki. You're my grandparents. Jiraiya nodded as the young man stood up, looking out the window. He could see the damage to the north gate. That had been a distraction to pull a good portion of their forces away from the Hokage tower. All this time, though I had no family. And yet, I was always near them. Man, this kinda sucks. What do you mean? Tsunade asked looking at her grinning grandson. I got a pervert for a grandfather and a Hokage as a grandmother. Not to mention, they're both Sannin. I got a lot to live up to from both sides of the family now. Naruto, you do realize that you're in my spot, right? Tsunade said smiling. Naruto freaked and stepped back from behind the desk. Sorry, Tsunade-sama. I mean, Grandma. Tsunade smacked him as Jiraiya chuckled. Don't call me that. It makes me feel old. Hey, didn't you ever hear of child abuse? Naruto retorted. You're not a child anymore. I believe you're a married man with a son on the way. Now, if you don't go, I'll show you child abuse. And take your sister's body to the hospital. I'll take care of the funeral arrangements. She said softly. Naruto's smile disappeared and was replaced with pain. Hi, Hokage-sama. And he left. That's 2 people who have been taken from him by the same man. I'm gonna follow him and see where he heads to. You get information on where Alpha disappeared to. With that, both left to their assigned tasks. Naruto sat in the warehouse. Gate and Hand as his clones all took the 4 instruments. All of them, even the original, all had looks of pain on their faces. Naruto couldn't take the pain, so he began to play. Tsunade followed Naruto from the hospital, staying out of sight as he left the warehouse. She followed him and hid inside to see what he'd do. She didn't know why, but she still had the wireless mic for the PA system. She watched as Naruto summoned 4 clones and instructed them to choose an instrument. She tightened her grip on the mic, turning it on. Naruto began to play as pain and anger were turned to song. Everyone in the village stopped as the song began to come out of the speakers. They listened as a voice with pain and grief began to sing. Quote, Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke froze as they listened to the song, realizing that it was Naruto's voice. The pain and anger was unmistakable. They wondered what had happened. Quote, Hiashi and Neji stp sparing as they began to realize whose voice it was. Listening with Hanabi, the 3 wondered what had caused him so much pain. They just hoped it wasn't Hinata that had caused this. Quote, Hinata felt tears fall as she and Kira sat in the hospital, listening to Naruto's rage and grief turn to song. Rain began to fall outside. Quote, Tsunade watched as red chakra began to form around Naruto as the young man's tears ran down his face. The chakra sharpened into the outline of a fox, complete with a tail. He was in so much pain. Quote, Tsunade felt tears as she watched him. The music slowed down as the clones stopped playing, leaving the original to continue, eyes closed as tears poured out. Quote, for a moment, the song stopped. Naruto stood, eyes shut, and just stayed that way. The villagers prayed that the young man's pain would go away. Several of them were crying as they listened. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open, blazing with pain and rage as the music kicked back to its original intensity. Quote, Naruto calmed down and ended the song. His red chakra faded away as he returned to normal. Tsunade turned the mic off, whipping away her tears as Naruto left the warehouse, heading home. She would speak to him tomorrow. Tonight, his family needed him. 7 months after Kiba's failed attempt to kill Naruto, the village was feeling cheerful due to the new life coming within the next day or so. Everyone smiled as they watched a panicking blonde man sprint up the street to the hospital. Damn, don't let me miss this, Naruto thought as he hurtled through the doors and stopped in front of the receptionist's desk. The young woman gave him a warm smile as he came to a stop. Ah, Naruto-san, you're just in time. Room 102. She told him. Naruto thanked her as he ran to the room. He entered and rushed over to his wife's side as she screamed in pain. He then made the biggest mistake ever. He let her hold his hand. Hina-chan, I'm here, he said softly as she turned on him. She was a mess. She was sweating bad, her hair was disheveled, and she had a glare on her face that would have made Orochimaru flinch. That was when he felt his hand start to get crushed. Where'd she get the strength? He wondered in amazement as pain shot through his arm. Good. We can get through this together, Naru-kun, she said through gritted teeth before another contraction caused to the yell in pain. In the process, she continued to squeeze his hand even harder, digging her nails into his skin. He gasped in pain as she drew B. This is going to be a long day, he though miserable, right hand throbbing. 2 hours later, 2 screams echoed through the halls. One of a woman. The other was from Konoha's number 1 loud-mouthed unpredictable knuckle-headed ninja. Naruto couldn't believe it. He had been prepared for his son. What he hadn't prepared for was twins. He now had a daughter as was happy though. Both were healthy and showed no sign that the QB had any effect on them. He smiled as he watched his family. They twins were only a minute apart. He was holding his son, who was fast asleep, when Hinata spoke up, little girl in her arms. We need names, Naruto, she said, still smiling at her daughter. They both looked like their parents. Naruto's daughter was the spitting image of her mother from what he could see. And his son looked a lot like him, save for the dark blue fluff on his head. Thankfully, neither had whisker marks. Well, we had already decided to name our son Minato. Now, we just have to think of a girl's name, he said, still rocking his son gently in his arms. Hana, she said gently, looking up to him. Naruto grinned. Yeah, it's perfect. Do you want to hold her so I can hold our son? Naruto nodded at her, traded Minato for Hana. He smiled as the baby's eyes opened and Dia looked up at him with fright. He made a funny face and she smiled at him, holding up a minuscule fist. He noticed that she had eyes just like her mother's as he let her play his index finger. For a few minutes, the infant playfully grabbed it and moved it around before she yawned and went back to sleep. Behind him, the door opened and 15 people entered the room. Naruto turned around to face them. "Oh, she's so cute. But weren't you supposed to have a boy?" Kakashi asked. Naruto pointed at Hinata as they all had shock on their faces. "Twins," they said as one. The new parents nodded as Sakura and the girls looked at Minato. He was still eyeing them with curiosity. "He's adorable." Sakura, Hanabi, Temari, Tenten, Temari, and Ino squealed. This action shocked the infant, but he didn't cry. Naruto felt proud that his son didn't resolve to tears from the reaction. "May I see my granddaughter?" Hiashi asked Naruto. Naruto gave Hiashi a grin and passed his LTTLE girl to Hiashi. The Hyuga smiled as he activated his Byakugan and began to study her. Hana, who was already frightened of Hiashi, started to cry when she saw the Byakugan. Hiashi gently ricked then baby in his arms. "Shush, little one. It's all right," he said gently. Hana didn't stop crying until she was back in her father's arms. "She has the Byakugan." Naruto nodded, knowing that he would have to talk to her when she was old enough about the importance of privacy. Hiashi turned to Hinata and she handed her son to her father. Hiashi smiled at Minato and studied him with his powerful eyes. The infant boy looked at Hiashi with amazement. "He also has the Byakugan. Both will be powerful shinobi," Hiashi said, smiling as he returned Minato to Hinata. After several congratulations and everyone holding each baby a dozen times, everyone filed out of the room, saying goodbyes. Naruto laughed as Kakashi left, gnawing his left eye. He'd shown it to the twins, and when Hana had seen it, she got upset and punched him in the eye. Tsunade had arrived, fawned over the twins, and took down the names before leaving the new parents alone. "Today is perfect. My kids are here, Kakashi got punched by my hour-old daughter, and Hiashi loves them." Naruto smiled as he watched his children sleep. Hinata yawned and smiled at him, drifting into sleep as well. He watched his family and vowed to protect them no matter what. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.